Okay. So I was just saying that I will go through community participation, why public space, and the case of the three municipalities that belong to a network of municipalities through participation. First of all, I would like just to mention, or just to state some key concept or some issues in relation with participation that maybe we have all know or that have come up in some of the presentation that we have had before. But I think it's important to realize that, for example, when we talk about participation, someone was saying, what's the community mean? I think community would mean many different things. It could be individually, it could be through families, through organization, through tenant, whatever. And so it's not a unique way of, the community is not only one way. Another thing I think it's also interesting and important to mention that the participation is among actors. It's not only one. It could be the residents with the municipality. It could be the resident itself. It could be, in many different levels. And so on. And I think it's also about citizens and rights. I think it's fulfilling people's needs in terms that I think participation is always is responding to a need, to a purpose. It's not just because we wanted to participate. It's about inclusion and diversity. It's about commitment and agreement. I think it has to be that in mind also. And now the last two I think for me are very important, more and more, getting more important, is about being part of the decision making. And it's also about empowerment, because although it has to do with fulfilling or with a purpose, specific purpose for participation, I think there is important that people started to work in this, like, we try to promote like a participatory culture. So it's not that need to be keep on going, not just for one purpose. I have developed this table that one of this is the what come up yesterday, the wheel of participation. But I think we also mentioned someone that the starting point was Einstein in 1969. And I think it's that what she did, or what she developed that time, is continue valid today. I think there are different levels of participation. What I try to synthesize here is that I think that there are two levels that for me are basic, or a need for participation, but I really think that participation is about participation, getting involved, taking part of the decision making, and the empowerment. So the community could continue ongoing when they reach this level. That's why it's important to work on here. But of course, we need these two levels before as well. Why public space? I think because public space in general has three main roles. But I think more important than that, or as important as that, is that this public space is close to the people, close to the community, as individuals, as organized, and that's the level that we feel that we belong to. We wanted to be part, we wanted to develop. And that is a space of identity, or a sense of belonging, a space as a social space where we can meet together, where we can go through, we can do different things, and also a functional space. Now in Chile, I think we are in a very special moment for three reasons. One is that in 2011, it was approved the law of participation, association, and citizen in public management. And I think although the law is not enough to promote or to get to put in place participation, it gives a framework and on which everybody can argue or they can make some demands. Actually, there are a lot of new organizations that have started to work on this framework, and there's a lot of this new law is stating certain regulation or certain things that they have to be done, for example, for the municipalities, and that is helping both the municipality and both the community. I'm saying that it's also helping the municipality because sometimes the council of the municipality didn't want to get into these kind of processes, but because the law will, it's somehow in sometimes compulsory, they could be, they will enter on that. Another issue I also mentioned yesterday is the new urban development policy. And I think this is an opportunity today because for the first time, this policy mention and makes a reference very specifically, very clearly around participation. Just a few months ago, in March, the new government created the Urban Development Council, who is working in 3 groups trying to put forward this principle of the policy and trying to implement the policy, because we all know that the policy is just a discourse unless we manage to get that to develop. And as I say, so it's one of the principles is participation, and also it is defined as a fundamental dimension of sustainable urban development, and it's mentioned that should be a process all over it could be all the stage of the planning process. It has to be accountable, it has to be organized, it has to be responsible for both sides. And also it has to be funded and it has to be institutionalized. So that's how I'd say that is another opportunity we have now to put these things in place. And the last one, and the third one, I said that is since the last municipal election in 2012, a group of municipalities of the Metropolitan Area of Santiago, but they cover quite a huge amount of population, they join together and create this network for municipality participation. And in the mayors, they declared in the constitution that the recent elections have left many messages regarding the urgent need to respond with concrete actions to a citizenry that is increasingly active and organized. And I think that is very important because I was just making a comment to Claire that last year I attended to several meetings between municipality and community, and you can find 2 things that also still to be not changed. One is that the community sometimes asks the community, why are you calling me? Why are you asking me what to do? But that's your role. You're supposed to know what to do. And that's one thing. And on the other side, they also sometimes they have been called or they have been asked to participate several times, but nothing had happened. So sometimes people don't believe that nothing is going to happen apart from that. So those things need to be changed. This is the municipalities that are very distributed all along the metropolitan area, but here is the socioeconomical level of the municipalities, and we can see that this area is the wealthiest area, and so that because the economic situation of the municipality is also a constraint in terms of putting forward participatory processes. So they are not in the same position. Maybe they all would will to have this approach, but they cannot do all the same. The one I'm going to mention is these 3 here. This is Santiago. That's the main, the capital, the Providencia and Recoleta. There's 3 here. And here the 3 one with the metropolitan. The metropolitan region is just in the middle of the country. And just few figures about the municipalities. They are all very similar in terms of population and density, but they're not the same in terms of income. Santiago is the one who has a bigger income, and Recoleta is almost 10% of that. The level of poverty in those areas is also different. Providencia has almost no poverty at all, and Recoleta, it's 10% of the population is under poverty, and the level of professional resources of the municipality is very different. The Recoleta is 22% from in relation with the resources of the whole country, and instead of Providencia, it's nearly 40% of so the percentage of the resources from the municipality of Providencia is much higher, at much more better qualification than the other one. And I put here something, and I thought that is important. Most of these municipalities have considered that one issue that need to be implemented is like a journal of information. And I think that has to do because the information is basic to start to this process of participation. And they all have, Recoleta said it's calling to something that is accountable. Providencia is applying to that. Providencia is getting more active, and Santiago is applying to their neighborhoods. And so these municipalities, not all of them, not the 13 are in the same level, but most of them have created participation units that didn't exist before. And also, some of these municipalities were just in the moment that they have to update the local planning plan. That is like the main tool that has the municipality in order to spread or to decide how to use the resources. And for doing that, most of these municipalities have decided to do it in a very participatory way. They should have always been participate, but they haven't been done like that, or the participation has been very little. And they have had different activities such thematic council, participatory diagnosis, public consultation, neighborhood working groups, projects prioritization, participatory design, all different kind of methodologies you can find. And Providencia, I think, is the one who has gone further, and he has made also some monitoring compromise with the people after all these different activities, and the people has get involved not only in deciding things, but also making responsible themselves for that. The municipality of Santiago has three main principles. One of that is participation and inclusion, and the other one is promoting public space. So public space for the municipality of Santiago is a clear, an important issue. And basically because they realize that the public space is the place where the people will need to meet, the place where the people will express their citizenship, all those what we know. And they have done lots of these issues, worked with the people trying to decide that this is one of the images defined by the participant in one of these several meetings to what are they thinking to be the municipality to be in 20 more years. But one of the things that I think is important to the municipality in Santiago and the other ones is that they are trying to promote a participatory process permanently, not just for the local plan, but in general, it's trying to implement at all levels, in all different activities, this issue of participation. I think I'm just going a little bit faster. And well, I said they have done community work to select a certain place. The municipality have developed alternatives. They have voted through a public consultation which one or where do they want it, and they have decided what kind of things they wanted to do in those kind of places. It was more, we just have very recently the municipality of Providencia, the community said no to a project that the municipality wanted to get placed, because they said, well, it's not that we don't want to implement that, but we don't want to implement it where you are trying to do it. So let's talk about where we do things. Providencia has this implement this issue that was they call themselves Thought Providencia. So that was a meaning of how we decide all together what to do with the different sectors. In both cases, the municipality was subdivided into different sectors in order to work within a smaller scale, so the municipality, the neighbors or the organization could know better the territory and not being working in the whole municipality. Something where in some cases they were asking, what do you think the municipality as a whole? But mainly they were trying to work in certain areas that they have certain homogeneous characteristic. And another example, Recoleta is now doing a process of what they call process of neighborhood refundation. This municipality has the mayor now is completely different, not only on the political orientation, but completely wanted to do a different management from the previous one. And so the one thing he mentioned that the sector of the municipality was subdivided without taking into account what the people think or the characteristic of the different areas. So they wanted to call the people to validate those areas, subdivide those areas, but because in order to create or to ask or to make demand for those areas, they wanted to be sure if they are the one that they should be. And they're going to do 72 meetings, 2 in each of the actual 36 units. And they said that one is for the young people, another one is for the older, and so on. And they have a whole methodology in terms of looking at maps and looking at what the different characteristics are that in the different areas. But that's another issue that is going on. And so final reflection, that I was saying that for the implementation of the urban policy, it was created this Council for Development. So I hope it will it would help us to make possible to include or to decide or to define how to make this process more participatory. The network of municipality is promoting and developing different levels of participation, and they have created a web page. They are exchanging and sharing the different issues that they are putting in place. They are assessing the result. They are doing each municipality has presented the result of the last year, so everybody could know what they have done, what are the problems, what are the challenges. As I said, they are not only involving the community in the decision process, but monitoring the project. That's they realize that there is important not just to do, but also to assess how that it works or what are the changes that has to be implemented. They are trying to promote a culture of participation by changing the way in which local management has been developed in the past. And that implies training municipal staff and training the community organization to organize themselves, to know how to do it, or to know how to engage one to each other. They are including a more permanent, real, and effective participation in all the process, and people have started to realize that they do have rights and duties within their neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Viviana. So we have time for one brief question. So are there any? Yes.
Thank you very much for an interesting presentation. In one of your first slides about the principles, you say that there should be an opportunity for everybody to participate. But we also know that among that everybody we have, and it has been discussed before, we have these power differences. I would like to know from you whether you have come across anything like elite capture in your experience with participation in Santiago.
Yeah, well, that's a big, big issue. And I think we are all aware about that because it's very difficult. Even municipalities that, like Providencia or Santiago, that are working very hard on that, this it's not that easy to get all the people that you need to be in the to come to this open space you are offering them. And most of the time, the people, on my experience, not only in this process but in another one, there is the people who has interest in certain things they want to come. That's why these municipalities are also doing like citizen schools in terms of like trying to not only training, but just to make conscience in the community, the importance that they come to this meeting, the importance that they can get some benefits, and also telling that they all have the same right, that it's not the developers that has to the one word, but the other one not. But it's still a very, very difficult thing because you can call, you can make a lot of effort. The municipality, for example, they send letters, they put the information on the web, they put like, information in the street. They do they just do it in many different ways. But how you make sure that the people will come to that? Also, I think it will take some time while the people realizing that there are some change, that things are happening. So if you are there and you try to put forward some ideas, it could happen. Because there's a lot of you also have to create some trustness in between the people.
Yeah, I understand. So there is, of course, a totally different history, let's say, in the relation citizen-government in the world, but also
Absolutely.
especially in your country. But the other thing is that people may have legal rights by law, but they also have the daily constraints of the situation in which they are. And there are interdependencies. They may be dependent on somebody else and therefore not in a position to contradict with what that person says. Yeah. So these type of issues may really be an impediment for the participation of all, let's say. So do you really think that we can get to the situation that everybody can have an equal opportunity?
I think in principle, I think yes. I think we don't have that dependency. For example, it could happen, or it doesn't. It could happen that some people from an organization in a municipality don't want to express that something has gone wrong, because then they will say, well, we are not going to get anything else. I think because there's much more accountability, because the people's realizing that things should not be that's the way it should not be. I don't think it's that how can I say it? I think it could be better. I'm not saying that that's not happening. I think people also has to be confident of that, because probably today still people think, oh, but maybe I better not to say anything. I better just to keep quiet and wait what they wanted to give me. But it's little by little that people is starting to organize themselves and is starting to say, well, yes, we wanted to work together. I have two experiences in one municipality that the people first they just emplace the mayor. The mayor at the end was just the pressure was so much that he was pushed to do a consultancy to vote, and the people win both quotation. The second one, you said, well, why didn't they learn nothing from the first one? And one was because they wanted to, they have given permission to private agency to do like a commercial center, and the people didn't want it. And they win that, and they didn't. The site is just there. That's nothing happened. That was like 4 years ago. And the other one, the municipality wanted to give permission to also a private agency to gate one park. And the people said, well, we don't need this park to be gated. Why should we? And they just made a lot of pressure, and they win that. So there are some, but also it must say that most of those experience that have come to a good end are also related to certain areas that have much more, power and much in power in different ways. And
Does that happen more often in Providencia than in
exactly,
Recoleta?
Providencia, Las Condes, and Vitacura, and it has much less little in the other one that they are much more poor. But they are given some signs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.